It says for waiting. I'm still waiting.
Because I didn't start it on YouTube yet. I just did. If you're here, say you're here.
What do you mean you didn't start on YouTube?
No, like we just started. Like we're live right now.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, it just popped up on mine too. 5 people.
We are live.
I'm just sending the link out.
What up? What up? Yo, when you get in here, say that you can hear us
Yeah,
and
please,
see
please.
the logo.
Andre said
Yo,
he's
yo,
here.
yo.
Andre, if you're here, write in the comments if you can hear me, or just text me that you can hear me. I would just love to know if this works right now.
Yeah.
If you're here, say hi. No one has said hi yet. Is it just watching video or doing it with y'all?
Andre said hi.
Hi. You don't have to do anything. This isn't a workout. In case anyone confused, this isn't a workout. Tib said he's coming at 3.
If I gotta land, I'ma. Yo, yo, what up, Andre?
Yeah, Andre, what are you up to these days? With the quarantine and being a high school student.
Can you hear that somebody's cutting grass? Like,
Nah.
of course, my neighbor starts to cut their grass.
Not much working out. That's it right there, man. Because college is literally in, well, who knows now, but it's there. Yo, who do you see the amount of people that are here?
7.
Okay. Chauncey's here. If you're here, just write in the comments. Where are you shooting? Just like in your backyard or something?
Sim just wrote.
Hey.
I think that first and foremost we should apologize for the confusion with
Yeah, this is on
with the
YouTube.
Twitch stuff.
This is on YouTube.
Tariq.
Tariq's here. We are definitely socially distant right now. Frank said you can't hear the grass cutting, so you're good.
Great.
I'm just sending it out to a few more people. I'm sure people are also going to come at 3. My brother said we can't comment. You can only comment if you're logged in to your YouTube. So
if you go on YouTube on a laptop or a computer, then you could just comment.
Yeah, if you just sign in, you're good. See, there's Jay with the no picture. Hello, Jay.
If you can't comment and you have a question, just like DM us if you need to ask us a question.
Yeah, or if you know us and like have our number, just do that.
Yeah. Evan is in here.
Wait, can you see when people join? Oh, you're
No.
seeing that you see the comments a little before me.
Shay commented. We're gonna start at 3, by the way. So we're just gonna wait a little bit. I don't think 3 for us is 3 for them, but we'll figure it out. John Barton's in here. Jesus.
That's right. It's got the inside scoop. We are gonna get started in 2 minutes. Oh my God, we got a like already. Look at that.
Things are going better than planned.
Yeah, this is big. I think I have sent this link to everyone that I needed to send it to.
There we go.
What?
Frankie said hey, so he got it working.
Hey. So you acknowledge the comment, but don't say hi back. Listen, there's a lot of comments here. What up, Dre? See, I thought the what's up was to Andre, and then you were just acknowledging our existence. So I apologize. Hi.
Right, yeah. But we just acknowledge back.
Yeah, we said like, yo, Shay's here. Frank completely spelled his name wrong, but that's fine. All right, we're gonna get started in like a minute or two. If you can't comment, just sign in to YouTube. If that's too much work and you feel like you're gonna have a question in the middle of this, feel free to just text us or DM us, whatever works.
Give it a little bit. Give it a little bit.
We appreciate the early birds. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, free workouts for everybody who's early. Or who was early.
Whenever we're allowed to do that. 2 likes. Huge. Huge.
3. 1 was me.
All right. I think we can start now that it is 3:01. Let me just get the video ready.
Yeah. I think first and foremost, we should say, like, hope everybody's staying safe.
Yes.
This is a really tough time. This is getting crazy now.
Yeah.
I think yesterday was the day I hit the wall.
Yep. By the way, in case you're
Kind of lost it a
seeing,
little bit.
what I have to deal with to get this set up, and if you think I know what any of this stuff means, you are wrong. Um, so with that being said, if you're here or if you're just coming in, thanks for coming. If you don't know us or know us by voice, I'm Harry. The other voice is Steve. Um, Steve's gonna get
Yeah.
started, but one thing, we did a practice run of this, and it was me like pausing at every clip and slowing it down and breaking it down in super detail. We're electing not to do that in the interest of time, and we don't want to just hear me talk for 2 hours. So if you have a question in the middle of anything, just type it, and we'll get to it at some point because I don't want to pause too much. So Diaz or Steve, sorry, I call him Diaz. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about skipping. We think that skipping is the most important thing to do when you're handling the ball. A lot of time coaches talking about changing speed, and they don't really say how to do it. They kind of just say that you should go from slow to fast, fast to slow, whatever. But skipping is how you can do that. It also lets you make reads, make decisions, and it basically puts you in a triple threat off the bounce. So we're going to go through some clips. Harry's going to break down some clips. These players are not the quickest. They don't have all the abilities. Most really get to the basket really well, but this is how they use a skip to be unpredictable with their moves. So I'm gonna pass it to Harry. Let him break this down.
Perfect. If you're a coach and you just want like some notes to write down, I'm gonna pause it here. You can take a screenshot, whatever you want to do. So the first situation we'll talk about where you should be skipping is transition. You hear a lot that it's a big emphasis to like push the ball as quick as you can down the court in transition. You wouldn't think that there's time to kind of use a skip to slow down, but we think skipping kind of helps you make reads, it helps you make decisions. So here we kind of have, it can almost be looked at like a checklist. So when you're in transition, you can skip. While you're skipping, you are surveying the floor. So your eyes can be looking at the defense, they can be looking at where your teammates are, they can be looking at the on-ball defender, whatever the case may be. When you've made that read, you can elect to drive, you can elect to change directions, or you can shoot in rhythm out of a skip. So what Steve just talked about, it's almost like triple threat off the bounce. So we'll let these clips play. First, you see Kelsey Plum skipping in transition, getting to the basket. Skipping in transition, getting to the basket again. On this last one, again, triple threat. She's shooting in transition. So one thing we want to emphasize is that you can kind of notice where every skip ends, and that's right at the three-point line, because she is a threat to shoot from this area. And that's going to put this defender in a position where they have to make a decision on how they're going to guard you. So we'll let all the clips play. You can just notice in almost everything, whenever someone skips, they're at a spot where they can shoot. And that makes you very difficult to guard, especially in transition. These next couple clips from Russell Westbrook, he'd probably be the one person that would never have to skip because he is just still at the highest level of basketball beating everyone with his athleticism. But here you see him get into that pull-up we know him for. One thing I just want to talk about, we'll pause it here, is that him skipping is allowing this guy, you see this trailer coming, that skip allows him to get right into the range where he can shoot. And if he just decided to sprint down the court, this pass might not be there. Granted, he shot it, but you can see the court is a lot more balanced because that guy had the time to get there. And we'll talk later about buying time for people. Another person we'll talk about later, Andre Curbelo, who's here. Again, really good player in transition. Just makes things very simple. We'll play those two back. All you really need is to be able to have a rhythm, to come down the court, two reads. He's open, he gets his feet down in rhythm, he shoots it, or he fakes that same rhythm, gets the basket, and then you can make whatever play after that. Again, Steve Nash, not the quickest, but that skip is allowing him to blow by really good defenders. Are there any questions yet? Because I have one in a text.
What does it say? One.
I have what is skipping? So skipping, I mean, let's use this as the example because it's here. Skipping is just like what you would see if you told like a kid like go skip. So you're skipping, you're jumping off one leg, you're landing on that same leg. And that can allow you to do all the things we just talked about in a rhythmic and explosive stance. If that's it, Diaz is going to introduce the next topic that's on the screen.
Yeah. So the next situation where you could skip would be like a ball screen. So I'm going to talk about what skipping can do for you in the 2-man game, and Harry's going to kind of talk about what it will do for everybody else on the floor, defenders and your other teammates on offense. So you could skip to set up the screen to use or reject it, and also skipping while waiting for a ball screen gives your screener time to get there, get set, and then gives you time to make a read off that, whether the defender's choosing to ice or he's letting you use it. And then you could skip after the screen is set. So if the big is dropping, you could skip, gives your screener time to roll, and also gives you time to make other reads. So Harry's going to talk about what it does for the other players without the ball.
So you hear a lot just in general outside of the topic of skipping is that you want to make defenders make decisions, and that skip is going to kind of put all eyes on you. It's going to make defenders have to make a decision because you're not moving. You know, if you were, let's say, sprinting downhill, the decision is very easy. You just step in front of the ball handler, the help comes, you rotate. It's a lot more complex to make a decision on someone who, when they're skipping, almost looks like they are indecisive, if that makes sense. What that also is going to do is while you're skipping, let's say you have a play where the ball screen comes and you have a shooter curling up from the weak side, which we have a few clips of. That skip is going to buy time for that cut. And while that cut is happening, you'll have a roll man and you have a strong side or weak side guard that's basically responsible for guarding both of those people. So that'll make sense when the clips start to roll. Here's Celeste Taylor, someone who in high school, we'll just pause here, could use her athleticism pretty much every play, and it got her to gold medals, McDonald's All-American, and now at Texas. But this is where she can be really dynamic, is you're skipping, you have this defender hugging their defender, or this defender hugging her teammate, excuse me, and you have all this space in here. So it'd be very easy to run into this space because it's free space. You want to claim that space. But this skip here puts people in positions where they don't really know what's going to happen. And now we have 2 feet in the paint. We have a layup. Coach's dream, basically. Again, Divine Chisholm, a kid that I got to coach this year. Skipping after the ball screen, you see he's completely off the ground. This big is in limbo again. He's got to decide, is he guarding the roll or is he guarding Divine? He chose not to guard Divine. This clip from Javon we just want to show. If you're a player watching this that's like really quick, this is a good example of how you can like really explode out of that. Keep in mind, he's being guarded. This big is like 7 feet tall. And he just leaves him in the dust. Again, just another example of leaving a big in limbo and just probing your way to the basket. So these next clips are all examples of how you can facilitate out of a ball screen by skipping. So let's let this clip play out a little bit. Here we have Pedro Marquez. What is going on? Dog's going crazy. Tibbs wrote that. So here we have the skip, right?
My dogs are bugging out.
Yeah. We have the skip right here. So this is what we were talking about. You're putting this big, or not big, you're putting this defender in a position where he has to either tag the roll man, this guy right here, if you can see my mouse, or he has to cover this shooter lifting up. And all of that happened because he decided to skip and engage this big for just a little longer. And that allowed the shooter to get to his spot. Same thing here. He skips, the roll happens. It's interesting. He skips, and if he threw that a little earlier, like right here, he hasn't really gotten into his sprint at the rim, but because he waited on that skip, now he's in a full sprint. He can finish over the top. All of these clips from Kelsey Plum are examples of hitting that weak side shooter. One thing I just want to emphasize is if you can buy this is pretty funny. If you can buy enough time for someone that doesn't jump when they shoot to have a wide open jump shot, you are doing your job. Again, really good example. You have a roll, you have a pop, you have two people guard this roll. So there's actually two shooters open because that skip engaged multiple defenders. And this is a really good example I just want to talk about. The last clip in this section, I believe, or at least of Kelsey Plum. I saw a lot this year coaching at York. People fall in love with attacking this space, like sprinting into this space, which, you know, is natural because in high school what you see a lot is you attack this gap and this big is usually open for a dump down. In college, unfortunately, the weak side guard is always looking to cut this off. So we want to get guards out of the habit of sprinting into the space and falling in love with that. So what this skip does is it allows you to read the floor, you get to the spot. That also allows this guard to lift by the time she hits the paint. Yeah, the comments are loving the dog, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. So let's pause it here. We'll just talk a little bit about Andre, who's here. Hi. Andre is a kid who we're lucky enough to have spent a lot of time on the court with. If you've seen him play, one thing you hear a lot about him is that he like plays at his own speed. The skip is kind of what allows him to play at his own speed, and because he has such good natural instincts in terms of passing, in terms of, you know, floaters and creative ways to score, the skip is what gives him a lot of those windows to read that situation. And keep in mind, he's not constantly looking to score. He's not constantly looking to make a particular play. I'm sorry, the dog is winning the live. Exactly what Tib said. He's winning the live. He's not really looking to make a particular play. He's just looking to make a read and make the right play, if that makes sense. So here we'll talk about the setup. He skips, he sets up the screen, he gets downhill, makes an unbelievable pass. Awesome. Same skip happens. We did, Tibbs. Same skip happens, now the refusal. So it's all about getting in the air, reading that situation. Here, sees the ice. Again, as soon as you see a coverage, you can probably skip at it to buy yourself some time. This clip is interesting to me just because the skip threatens the drive so much that by the time he's shooting, there's literally nobody contesting the shot. So keep that in mind. Yeah, the comments are just, there's no questions about
not
basketball.
Beating the animal.
It's all about dogs.
This has become about not basketball.
So back to skipping. Here's Andre, a really good example of how you can skip twice in one possession. Skips before the screen. Notice he skips after. This roll happens. This guard has to cut off that big, try and box out. Jalen, if you're here, hello. That's him hitting a three. Again, skip to set up, and just another unbelievable play. So, again, skipping is not the end-all, be-all, but it can really put you in positions to make easier decisions and easier reads. Diaz, if you can talk Go for it.
It's just insane. Um, I was not beating my dogs. I
Okay,
have two
wait.
chihuahuas,
I have a
and
basketball question. I have a basketball question.
they don't shut up. But continue. Go ahead. Answer the question.
Question: what circumstances would the skip be suboptimal? Meaning, like, are there any scenarios that you don't want to be skipping in?
Yeah. I was going to talk about this a little later, like when we were providing context at the end. But like, there are times. I mean, there's a time and place for everything, right? So like, there's a time to take advantage when you have an advantage, and there's a time to create an advantage. And I think skipping is something that creates an advantage, but if you used it when you had an advantage already, it would kind of give your defender an opportunity to recover. So I think that skipping is something that you can use when it's like neutral or you have a small advantage, but not something when you have a big advantage. So like, let's say you split a ball screen, a high hedge comes, you split a ball screen. You wouldn't skip after you split the ball screen. You would just take advantage of the advantage you already created, if that makes sense.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah. So should we talk about being pressured now?
Yes, being pressured.
So we are two players who played for Padias, Coach Steve Padias at Brooklyn College, and everybody who knows him knows that he was a pressing coach. Every type of press is thrown at you, zone, man, whatever, but all of them were predicated on forcing a speed dribble up the sideline and the second defender coming over to trap. And if that trap doesn't work, to force a lollipop pass over the top. This is what he called it. A lollipop pass over the top, and for that pass to be intercepted by whoever's in the backcourt. So using a skip while you're facing a press is a great way to be able to read the defense, keep your defender at bay, and just be unpredictable. So we're going to show some clips against some of the best pressing teams, against the best pressing team, West Virginia, and see how some players handle it.
Right. Awesome. Just some other key points if you want to, screenshot this. You really conserve a lot of energy by skipping at pressure. If, let's say, you were the point guard and you're playing against West Virginia, and you sprint by the first trap, you split the second, and you're getting into a rhythm in terms of feeling out that press. They're subbing in 5 new guys to continue the same pressure at that same level. Not to mention that if you're playing against the pressing team, they're probably in better shape than you because they're running all practice. So with that being said, if you think that you're just going to sprint by or through a very well organized press, it's just not going to happen. Again, Diaz touched on it. You're going to stop yourself from sprinting into really bad positions, that kind of like terrible zone you always tell your guards not to get caught in, like that point where it's like half court and the sideline kind of cut you off. And again, you are going to have that moment in time similar to ball screening, similar to transition, where you can read the court. That's kind of a constant with everything we talk about. And the one thing I wanted to touch on was setting a rhythm. I was coaching at York College this year. The first few games of the season, we actually had trouble with breaking pressure and then getting into our offense out of that press, and it not just turning into the guard beat their man and we're trying to score on 4 guys that are already back. So one thing we would do if you're a coach and you want to put this in your practice is we would practice skipping. Let's say you inbound the ball, you have a defender, and then you have the rest of your team back on offense. All you have to do is skip once or twice and just try and beat that guy. I would tell our guards, if you put the ball between your legs, it's a turnover because you just don't need to. And in all these clips that we're about to show, none of these guys do anything more than a crossover. So we'll let the clips play.
Yeah, one thing I like to say, and I said it to players I work out, is that when you're in doubt, just skip. That'll give that'll give you enough time to make a read and see what you need to do.
Yeah, I am not mad at that. So here we have Lauren Jackson. He was the player of the year in his conference, and he's very undersized. So if you're a little guard, he'd be a really good guy to watch and learn from. So here we have West Virginia again. They're forcing a speed dribble up the sideline, and you see this small skip. He almost like fakes like he's passing, like what Diaz was talking about. He then sees this trap coming, and that brief moment, right? Let's play it back a little bit. I'm just looking over my phone and seeing all the dog comments. That brief moment in time right here is where he can read the floor. Whereas if he's just sprinting into this, and again, talking with like your teammates getting into their spot, he would be sprinting into his own teammate. So that's giving him time to release, and they get a wide open three against one of the better pressing teams in the country. Probably the best. So again here, skips, sees two, gets the ball out of his hands. I just think it's interesting that the skip times up with when both defenders attack him, if that makes sense. So he skips, he sees the two coming at him, he knows it's time to pass the ball.
Yeah, and one thing worth mentioning here is that we're not really married to any type of specific footwork. Like when you're moving quickly, a skip is going to make you hesitate, and it's not going to look like a skip that like a clean skip. So, but you need to be able to know how to skip slowly before you can skip quickly.
Right.
And that's it.
So again, Louisville, another team that's known for pressing. Shabazz Napier, another point guard that was known for being really good. Here, you just see him skipping the entire length of the court. So keep in mind, if you were, a coach or a player and you went into a gym and did this for 20 minutes, you probably wouldn't break a sweat. Skip, skip, cross, skip, and now you're at half court. You probably would not break a sweat if you did that for 20 minutes. And that's all you need to do to break one of the better presses in the country. Again, he doesn't really maintain a skip. I just want to make note that out of habit, the first bounce here, he's off the ground. And then he makes the read, and they get the ball over. So this next clip is from Frankie Schettino, someone that I think Diaz is in a better position than I am to say a few words on. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Frankie, I coached Frankie 2016-27 season at the College of Staten Island. And he wasn't the most athletic player. He wasn't the quickest, definitely wasn't the quickest player. And every time, but he was the main ball handler on our team. And every time he faced pressure, all he would do is just skip and get through it. And in these next couple of clips, you'll see why it was so difficult to pressure him.
So we'll talk about it later. We literally will call these when we drill them like Frankie skips. So he skips 3 times. When the defender gets too close, he's really good at being physical and swiping that arm off. And he just gets 2 feet in the paint and he makes a play. Something that is probably every coach's dream is your point guard getting 2 feet in the paint. So we're at our last section of this video, beating our defender one-on-one. So Diaz, you can start off. I don't think we have any questions.
No, we're good.
Yep.
So skipping in a one-on-one situation, it puts you in we talked about this a bunch. It just puts you in an unpredictable position. You could do anything that you want out of it. So whatever your go-to move is, whether it be a crossover, and we'll show clips of this, whether it be a crossover or literally, this is the perfect way to set. It creates an angle for you. It makes the defender think that it makes the defender rise up, whether you're shooting it or going by. It makes you explosive, and in these next clips, you'll see why. See what I'm talking about.
So the first thing that you'll see is Javon Quinterly at the USA camp, and someone interviewed him and was like, "Hey, if you had a go-to move to get by somebody, what would that be?" And he literally just says, "I'll just hesitate and go by someone. Like it's literally all I would need to do." Granted, he's very quick, but it you'll see in all the clips. It doesn't really matter what player type you fall in. It's effective for everybody. Uh, Something Diaz mentioned earlier, not being married to like a particular type of footwork, whether you're skipping towards someone to try and close the space and maybe be more physical, if you're looking to be a little more shifty and skip like laterally, it can set up whatever angle you're looking for to blow by somebody. And then Diaz kind of touched on the other two on this page. So again, here you can just read the subtitles. What's your go-to move off the dribble? Just a quick hesitation and a blow by. That's all you need. Here he is. Granted, he is an insane ball handler, and a lot of these plays, especially this one, are really tough to make. But we just want to emphasize that the skipping is what's setting up him to make these plays with his ability. So he skipped, and then that pass fake happens because he created that space. Again, here's Frankie. Skips, blows by. Something I just want to touch on, and you'll see a couple clips later. If you have some sort of like action, especially if you're a coach, you can tell your guards to kind of skip and look at that action. And that's going to allow space to free up, and that's going to maybe put multiple defenders into sleep. All right, I just want to make it clear, I didn't put this in here. Diaz did, but this is me. This is me in high school. I really liked a right to left crossover, and we'll talk about it later. Like I never worked out, and I definitely never worked like on skipping. This was just something I did to set up a move, and we'll touch on that later. But this last section is on someone who.
Oh, wait. I'm about to put the Harry Hazen senior season highlight.
No. Oh, okay. My high school highlight tape is hilarious.
Is up there with John Walls, Austin Rivers, all these mixtapes. This one is better. If you haven't seen this, you need to see it.
All right, just make sure you
just
watch
copy
it.
And paste
make sure
that.
You watch it.
Copy and paste that link
after this. Don't leave here to watch that. So the last kind of person we want to highlight is Chris Fowler. He was the captain of the team when I did my post grad at IMG. So I had to guard him every single day. And he's probably the hardest person to guard just going right in a straight line ever because he was just super physical. He never settled for a three-pointer. So something you'll see later is that he just is constantly putting pressure on no matter who's guarding him, whether it's a big that switched out, a guard, whatever the case, his goal is to get to the basket, and he skips all the time. So here, skips right, gets right. Again, super physical and is a very good finisher. Again, skipping laterally now, finishes. I don't know how that wasn't foul. Here again, you see like action on the court, elevator screens happening. All he's doing is just skipping and getting to the basket. And then in line with go-to moves, if you can skip and go right, if you can skip and have a crossover, you don't really need much else. So this last clip, I just want to pause here because I'm sure if you are or have played with or coached a guard that sees this situation where the big is switched down on them and they're giving them like what looks to be 8 feet of space, in 2020, you're probably either shooting this or the space you're looking for would be like behind you. Kind of like what James Harden always does. He's looking for a step back to get into the space behind him. What Chris is doing is he's constantly probing, constantly skipping, and then my goodness. That went in, by the way. I'm not sure why that cut off, but the last person with a go-to move will highlight Isaiah Thomas. He skips, he gets into his half spin, and he's very quick. So this is something that really works to his advantage. So that's it as far as this video. I don't think we have any questions. So we're just gonna get into a couple like final thoughts on this topic. Um, Show a few videos of how you could work on this, whether it be, you know, in a practice or if you're just like working out with your friends. Diaz, do you want to start off with that?
Yeah, so just to provide like a little context, when it comes to watching these clips, uh, decision making is always something that's talked about, but it's never really taught. There's never really something taught to a player to slow the game down for them, and this is really what we think is the way to slow the game down. Um, Other than that, I just wanted to say that there's a time and place for everything. Like I said before, there's a time and place to take advantage of your advantage quickly, and then there's a time to take a little advantage and make a read, create for your teammates or create for yourself. But now we'll just get into some. I guess we'll talk about what we do in our workouts and what you can do as a coach to incorporate skipping into your practice or whatever you're doing. So what we do, I think it's just a great way to warm up. First of all, we do like full court right hand skips, right hand big skips, pounding the ball full court. Same thing, left hand back. We'll mix it up with we'll mix up the difficulty with the ball handling through the legs backwards. If you've worked out with us, I'm sure you're sick and tired of that. Um, but besides that, Harry, you want to talk about the clips that you're showing?
Oh, okay, I'll pull those up. But even before that, just real quick, a couple things I just wanted to touch on. If you are, especially if you have the ability to watch film, especially if you're like in college, you're definitely watching film. If you're a player, if you're a coach that has a really good guard, you probably already do this. So it's not something that you're gonna have to like get in the lab and work on like a really difficult type of footwork. This is probably already in your game. You just might not be aware of it. So
Yeah.
watching film and seeing where you do this or if you can add this into particular situations is definitely going to be a really good resource for you. This is one, I'll just start playing it. Let me just get it full screen. And this is something you can incorporate into your practice, into your workouts. We'll just have a coach, in this case it's me in socks on, standing at wherever you want your guys to work on shooting from. So in this case, it's a transition kind of mid-range free throw line area shot. Oh no, I gotta mute it. And they'll just skip at you. Really simple. If I have my hand down, by the time they land out of their skip, they should shoot it. So I'll play the beginning again, just so you see that read. If my hand is down, you should be shooting. And then if my hand is up, you should be driving. And the better, player that you work with, you can make the read a little more difficult, a little more like last second. You see that'll happen a lot. Like guys will get used to putting two hands on the ball really early. And if you can get your guys to really get out of the habit of picking the ball up, especially from the point guard position, they're going to be able to make a lot more plays, and they're going to get used to kind of probing the lane. Getting back to like Andre, that's something he's really good at. Is like never picking the ball up until it's time for him to shoot or pass. We'll just let the clips play out. Because you'll see, especially like in this drill, it becomes like really fun because guys will just guess. Like they'll just get in front of you and they'll just pick the thing that they didn't do last time or whatever they think they're going to get you with. But you really have to emphasize that you are reading a defender. You are reading a floor. You're not just like making whatever move you feel like making, if that makes sense. Am I missing
Yeah, and
something
also it's important to mention that when we score this, we score it by read and then the result. So if you guess right, you get a point, and if you make it, you get a point. Obviously, if you guess wrong, you get no points. But
Yeah.
it starts with the read.
Yeah, something Tibbs is in here. Something he talks about a lot is like incentivizing the correct decision. So if you make a shot, for instance, let's find one where I have my hand up. If you just make a shot here, especially for Elijah, I don't know if he's in here. If you are, hi. Uh, who's undersized, if you're just shooting at a 6'1" hand up, that's a bad read. So you really want to just emphasize the read rather than just the result. So that's just a quick shout out to someone that's in here. And again, we'll play the Chauncey. Chauncey, I know you're in here, so I'll also say hi to you. If there's a situation that you want to be working on, let's say in here particular, it's like attacking a hedge and making a read out of that hedge one-on-one with the guard that has to go under. You'll just, let me mute this again. You'll drill it to where you get around the hedge and you're immediately into a skip. So this is just one clip. I'll let it play again. You're just emphasizing whatever happens after this hedge, you're skipping. And you can tell your guys that, you know, if they can shoot this and this defender is this far back, you can shoot that. That's a correct read. There, he just gets the basket. I'll play it one more time. If you're here and you want either this clip or literally any clips from this whole thing, just ask us. We could send you the entire video if you want. Am I missing anything here? I could play the thing with you and Sammy.
It's just the same thing. But I mean, yeah, I think that's.
So you're just gonna call.
That's that. I think it's something that should be taught more than it is. It's really been like the focal point of kind of like what we do, basically every workout.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's kind of the base that we start at when it comes to ball handling. Other than that, I want you guys to know that my dogs have been barking the entire time. Like still, even though you guys can't hear, they're still barking. I don't beat my dogs though.
With that being said,
so we gotta say that.
The 22 of you that are here, we appreciate you attending. This is the first time we've ever done this. If you're in the beginning and you saw this thing, I had to figure out how to navigate this freaking robot. So if anything with the stream outside of the dogs wasn't optimal, if there's something that we could do better, let us know, because we definitely want to try and do this again as much as possible till things become normal. And even then, we might still try and mix this into our routine. But if there's no questions, thank you. And bye. I don't really know how else to end it. Right?
Yeah, I think that's it. Peace. Go enjoy outside.
Well,
no
one's gonna leave because
while abiding social distance laws.
Yes, no one's gonna leave because there's a delay, so we'll just stick around. Now people are starting to leave. Anthony Whiteman, the people need webcams. I would rather not show my face, but if that is
we need haircuts.
Better outros. We'll get here. We'll get this in here.
Shay, Harry, and Diaz are the best in the city.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shay.
Seriously, if you're
That's
here
nice.
and you're hearing this, any like, yo, this was good, it could be better. The better outros thing, I think, could be taken a little seriously because we kind of just said bye. But literally any feedback we would appreciate. I'm gonna wait till
Text us.
Yeah, the stream ending soon is now popping up for them. I should put stream ended. It's over.